Hey everybody, I want to shoot a little impromptu video to talk to you about a tragedy that hit the homestead, and also to explain a little bit why even people who don't live up in Alaska and deal with bears coming onto their property need to have firearms on their homestead. We had a horse, which many of you have seen in previous videos, that we named Summer, and about a week ago or so she got out of her pen. And what really troubled us about that is there was no damage to the fence, all the gates were closed, and there was no sign initially of how she even possibly got out. At first, all we knew is that she was lost, and we didn't know where she was, and started looking for her. And long story short, we found out that she had actually got out overnight and was involved in an accident. And while the loss of our horse is certainly devastating to our family, more importantly is the health and welfare of the individual who hit the horse. So we ask you to think of them and be concerned about them as well. Our understanding is it was a bad accident, and we never saw it. We never even saw the horse after she was hit. The county came by and buried her long before we even found out about the accident. So what are we going to do to prevent this kind of a problem in the future? Let me show you. So this is the path that leads to the back of the property, and some 1,000-foot back there is where the deer field is. That's the very back corner of our property, and we have seen coyote on a deer camera back there. And we've also seen a lot of stray dogs. We've had problems in the past where stray dogs attacked one of our neighbors' cattle through the woods up there, and we had to dispatch of these dogs because they had backed cattle into a feeding chute and were attacking it. And the only way to save the cattle was to get rid of the dogs. We've also had a situation where we kept goats several years ago in this area, and came out one afternoon and the goats had been killed by wild dogs. So what we discovered was that the horse left some tracks in that muddy area down at the very bottom, where she had run full pace all the way up here and through this area and up towards that carport there, which is actually her shelter. And in that muddy spot that you can see, we saw where she stamped around a whole lot. There were just hoof prints in every which direction. And then we found another spot just on the opposite side of the fence where she had got out. And then it was just a full run all the way down in front of our house, down the driveway. So what we're doing is, if I can bring you over this way, here's the deer camera that is now pointing toward where we believe either the wild dogs or the coyotes are coming from. And so that is not enough coverage. There is still a lot up here. So we have purchased 2 more game cameras. We now have this one, which is the newer model of the same camera you saw just a minute ago. We're really happy with that game camera, so we stayed with the same brand and model. It's just this year's edition, and for all intents and purposes, the only thing that really changed was this camouflage cover. So you can see we're watching the entrance from over here with the other trail camera, which is right where that dog is. And now we have this one that's watching in this direction. Where if it happens to come out of the woods, this is the back of where we keep the ducks right now. And we did find a chicken that had somehow, we have no idea how, a chicken had somehow got out. And we found a dead chicken back here 2 days before the horse got out. So we want to watch this area as well. But we also have pigs that are about to give birth, so we want to cover an even larger area. So here's the third camera, and just to keep giving you perspective here, over there that cedar tree, second one back, kind of in the center of those three groups of trees there. That's where the other camera is, pointed towards where I'm standing. And then this camera here is watching a little gap that goes between our shed and where the pigs currently are. So there's just another little clearing here we can kind of watch with a trail camera. So it's the best we can do with our budget and not trying to buy 1,000 cameras to watch every inch of 7 acres. But we're hoping that with those 3 cameras we can figure out whether we're dealing with a coyote or stray dogs and where they're coming from. And then we're going to protect our livestock. We have one of our pigs that is just eager to give birth. Her in the middle. She is not far away from giving birth, and she's not going to let me take a good picture of her. You'd have to have another person out here to distract her to get a picture of her from the side, but that's our next big concern, is making sure that our pigs aren't attacked right after she gives birth. So I know that's not what y'all are used to seeing here. I know we're usually talking about, fairy gardens and growing food, but it is a part of homesteading, and I don't talk about it very much. And I know a lot of people have various concerns about firearms and their regulation and their safety. For what it's worth, I used to be a firearms instructor, and my wife in the military was ranked as a sharpshooter. I only got marksman. So we feel like we're more than capable of safely housing and using firearms for their purpose. But sorry this isn't more upbeat, but it is a tragedy that really hurt our family. We invested heavily in making sure that we had a good environment for our horse, buying a round pen, putting up, you can see the electric fence here behind me, that strand of wire, going around and making sure that it stayed cleared, and testing it and making sure that it was always functioning properly. And despite the best of our efforts, we still had a predator chase our horse out of its confinement and then endangered other humans late at night. So now we have to go into a different mode, and rather than worry about prevention of keeping the animal in, we have to respond to the threat that's coming onto our property. So that's what we're going to have to do. And we don't have an arsenal of weapons at our disposal. I've got a shotgun, and I've got slug ammunition to go in it that we suspect will be more than adequate to dispatch a coyote or a dog with if we need to. But we're not going to let it happen again to our livestock, our pets, or to endanger somebody else. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll do some more upbeat things here shortly, but sometimes we've got to bring things back down to earth and talk about the realities and the dangers and the challenges that sometimes confront us. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next time.